So, welcome to all of you in this special lecture of business process reengineering. And today we will be focusing on four issues. First, we will be discussing what are the various features of the business process reengineering when we introduce them in the organization. Secondly, we will be discussing what are the various key points of failures of the BPR in an organization. And in the meantime, we will be also discussing some of the advantages or the benefits which an organization gets when they implement business process reengineering. And after that, we will be focusing on the methodologies or the phases in which the BPR methodology is introduced in an organization. So this will be the basic purpose of today's special lecture. So all of you must take down your copies and pen and note down the points because these may not be available in the books. So I will be discussing these points one by one with all of you, and then we'll be spending at least 5 to 7 minutes for discussion after the this has taken place. So first step which I will be discussing with you is what are the various features of re-engineered process. Also, when we introduce business process re-engineering in any organization, what are the various features? First important thing is that in business process re-engineering, several jobs are combined into one. So that means it is not there because our purpose here is to reduce the cost and improve the quality both. So sometime when the jobs are disintegrated, several jobs are performed by various persons. In that case, sometime it creates confusion. It leads to increase in the cost. Similarly, it leads to some kind of lack of coordination with which the quality is hampered. So first important feature of business process re-engineering is to first of all that you coordinate the various job and several jobs are combined into one. So one job will perform the various functions which were earlier treated as various jobs. Second important issue is that workers make real decisions. So here that all decisions are not taken by the top level management. So there is a disintegration of powers so that uh, at the floor level, some decisions which are very need to quickly take by the organization so that our work should not hamper, work should not suffer, then these powers are given at the shop floor level, lower level. So workers take decisions how to implement the various processes because the flow chart of the various functions is very much clear. So various kind of diagrams, various kinds of things are absolutely picturized. So everybody knows what are their functions. So in such manner, so workers make actual decision. Third very important aspect is work is performed where it makes most sense. Which work is to be performed by whom? Which work is to be performed at what place? So that is clearly defined, and work is performed where it makes more sense, wherever it is required to take decision, wherever it is required that the work should be performed at that place only the works are performed. And fourth very important issue is that checks and controls are reduced. There will be no need of checks and control if work is scattered at various places, the jobs are performed at various places, there is no coordination between them. Only then you need to have checks and controls. But when the several jobs are combined into one, then you need not to make much kind of checks and controls. So that is the issue that here the checks and controls are reduced. Fifth point is that reconciliation processes are reduced. When several jobs are combined into one, there's no need of reconciliation of the several jobs, because all works are performed where it makes sense and several jobs are connected one. So therefore reconciliation may not be needed. And here every situation is treated as a case, and case manager provides a point of contact. So there is no lack of coordination. Everybody is informed about the various decisions. The decisions are clearly defined, who has to take the decision, at what place the decision is to be taken. So these are the certain features when we introduce BPR in an organization. We have already discussed that this is absolutely different from the total quality management. This is absolutely different from the overhauling process, because here the total process is overhauled. Next important aspect which we have to discuss today is the influence of business process re-engineering on organizational performance, because we have already discussed in the previous chapter BPR as a manager of change. We have already discussed BPR technology as enabler of organizational change. So whenever we introduce business process re-engineering in an organization, there is absolutely change in the performance. Many success stories of the BPR are available, but despite that, in the 90s, this concept was not very much popular. So important success stories regarding the business process re-engineering, which are available in India also, that is the IBM and Ford. IBM and Ford has introduced business process re-engineering, and success stories has been built upon that, and they have successfully reaped the profits out of the implementation of the business process re-engineering. But despite that, there are a number of unsuccessful stories also. But the main reason which I could analyze, that main reason for unsuccessful stories is that managers and the management are not clear about the concept of the BPR. They try to pinpoint the bottlenecks in the existing process and try to remove the bottleneck. This is not a BPR. If somebody says that I have diagnosed the problem and only problem is addressed, but overall process, total revamping of the process is not there, that is not business process re-engineering. That is the reason that widespread failure of the BPR is there. But because they have not implemented the business process re-engineering in a real sense. And numerous organizations have attempted to redesign the business processes, but have failed to enjoy the enormous improvement in the organizational performance that were promised, because they actually do not understand the concept of the BPR. So therefore the key to realizing these improvements in performance seems to be continuous learning. It is not there that you will introduce the BPR in an organization and immediately you will get 100% success within a month, or within a day, or within 10 days, or within a week, because this is a continuously learning process. If you introduce the concept of the business process re-engineering professionally after taking the advice of various professionals, that may not be possible for you, because finances may not be available with you to hire the professional. But in that case, you will introduce the BPR as a trial and error process in the organization. So you will try it, you will face certain bottlenecks, you will try to create, cover such kind of bottlenecks, and then even be able to cure such problems. And with the continuous learning, you will be able to get the benefit of the BPR. So as far as the business process re-engineering is concerned, we have already discussed its meaning, its definition, its feature. But the most important point is that it is a continuous learning process. You cannot get the benefit immediately if you are not professionally trained, if you have not professionally induced the concept of business process re-engineering in your organization. So therefore, it is very important that you should not lose heart. You should learn from the failures. Unless and until you learn from the failures, you will not be able to get the success. So this is one aspect of the BPR, that BPR is definitely going to have influence on your organizational performance positively if you introduce it professionally. If you introduced it with the process of learning by experience, if you introduce with the concept in your mind that sometimes you have to learn from the failures also and make corrective changes. So it's a continuous process. So which will be introducing in the organization, only then you will be able to get the benefit of the introducing business process re-engineering in your organization. Then some people say that it is advantageous only when the, because it's a very heavy costly concept of introducing, when you are going to change and revamp the whole organization, entire processes are going to be changed, then it is naturally a costly affair and irreversible decision. Some people say that it has more disadvantages than the advantages. It is going to be disadvantageous to you if its cost is more than the benefits which you are going to drive. So before introducing the concept of business process in re-engineering, you must analyze in your mind with the help of professionals that whether you are going to reap the profits of the introducing BPR in your organization or not. If your benefits are more than the cost involved in introducing the business process re-engineering, only then you must introduce. And second aspect, while discussing its advantages, you must know that as far as BPR is concerned, because I have already discussed with you in the beginning, in the first lecture itself, that the customer is the king. Your all decisions, your all aspects, your all processes must revolve around the customer's needs. Because if you are a manufacturer, ultimately you have to sell your products in the market, and who is going to purchase your product in the market? That is the customer, and customer expects something from the products which you are introducing to them. So therefore everything revolves around the customer needs, and BPR is not an exception to it. So it's ultimately the concept of BPR, when it is revolve around the customer needs, it gives an appropriate focus to the business. So appropriate focus is, you must focus on the customer needs. Secondly, BPR, if it is introduced in the organizational professionally, it is going to provide cost advantages that assist the organization in the competitive position, because there are a number of competitors in the market. They may be giving the products to the customer at the lower price than you offer to them. They may be offering innovative products which are more superior to you introduce in the market. So therefore, as far as if you introduce BPR professionally in your organization, it gives you the cost advantages and you are at the competitive edge in the market. So therefore, you must take care of it. Secondly, BPR is not a short-term phenomenon. BPR encourages a long-term strategic view of operational processes by asking radical questions about how things are done and how processes could be improved, because it's a brainstorming process. It is not there you just change the process. The lot of brainstorming is done before introducing the concept of BPR in the organization, and every process, every step in the process is analyzed thoroughly. You must have heard about program evaluation and review technique, PERT and CPM in the operation research. In PERT also, we move from step 1 to step last, and each and every activity is designed. So PERT and CPM is also one kind of helpful technique to introduce the business process re-engineering in the organization. So BPR helps to overcome the short-sighted approaches. It's a long-term strategic views that sometimes emerge from excessive concentration on functional boundaries. So by focusing on entire process, the exercise can streamline activities throughout the organization. So this is very advantageous position for introducing the concept of BPR in an organization. So BPR, business process re-engineering, can also help to reduce the organizational complexities when redundant activities are removed. then because each and every activity you performed in the organization, that involves involvement of cost and time. So if redundant activities are which are not required, that kind of activities are removed, so you will eliminate the unnecessary activities. Definitely, if you, it is going to give you the competitive advantage as compared to your competitors in the market, and you are going to get benefited out of it. So these are the advantages which are helpful in introducing the BPR in an organization. Some people criticize the BPR on various pretexts, and some says that by making small improvement in the BPR is a small improvement in the existing practices. So it is not a small. We have already learned that BPR is a revamping of the entire processes. So therefore, if you are making small changes in the organization and you are giving it the name of the BPR, and then you are saying that we are not getting much success, so it means that you are not actually understanding the concept of the BPR. So when BPR is perceived incorrectly as a single or one for all cost cutting exercise, then you are misunderstanding the BPR. So therefore the criticism is bound to emerge, because you really don't understand the concept of the business process reengineering. So BPR, when you introduce in an organization, requires a far-reaching and long-term commitment by the management and the staff. If you are expecting that immediately within a month the results will come down, then you will not be able to get it. So securing this is not an easy task, and many organizations have rejected the whole idea as not worth for efforts, because they don't have the long sighted or the far sighted vision for that. So you need a far sighted vision, you need a long term commitment by the management and the staff, only then you will be able to implement it. So sometimes companies became so focused on improving internal processes, then they fail to keep up with the competitors' activity in the market. So you need not to only focus on your internal activities, but also focus what the others who are your competitors are doing in the market, and accordingly you must plan your BPR methodology or BPR strategy in the organization. So BPR has a long-term impact on your system development. Basically, it is a development of the system, development of the new system. So BPR results in more automation. We have already discussed in the previous lecture that the technology is an enabler for introducing the organizational change. When we say organizational change, it means introducing the business process re-engineering methodology in your organization. So BPR results in more automation and greater use of information technology and IT enabled services. So it is not that you just introduce the technology in the organization, but you have to introduce the IT enabled services in your organization so that you can get the benefit of the business process re-engineering. So this, when you develop the concept of BPR, introduce the concept of BPR in an organization as a system development and use the IT and IT enabled services, definitely you are going to get benefit. But this need a long term strategic planning and a vision to see the future, and commitment of the staff of the organization and the management of the organization, so that you can get the benefit of it. So some of the key technologies that allow fundamental shift in the business operations, they may be considered as, for example, when you use technology, there is a shared database in the organization. So if a sales manager is getting the data for the organization from various sales point, and that data is needed by the production manager, so there is a shared database. The production manager has access to that database. It is not that they have to demand the database from the sales manager. So there's a coordinated effort. So shared database from any location. So sometimes now we have to for research purpose we are conducting the surveys by sending the questionnaires. But if you have introduced IT enabled services, definitely you are going to have a shared database from any location across the country or across the world that you need to take the decision in an organization. Secondly, you will have an expert system, a database system providing expert knowledge and advice. So all techniques of the operation research, all techniques of the research methodology, we are combined with the database. So if I need expert advice on what should be the suggested price for the product to be offered to any customer or a company which is offering to buy our product, so I can take the help of the IT enabled services and put the database into that, and I will get the required answer that this is my cost and this is the cost of the competitors, and accordingly this is my desire of earning the profit, this is the desire of profits in the market and the customer. So immediately I can quote the price. So powerful communication network even available if you introduce the BPR from the remote offices, because we have a technology connection with every office of our organization. So there will be a wireless communication, on the spot decision making can take place, and technology tracking for warehouses and delivery system are available. Internet services to re-engineer channels of distribution, that is also available if you introduce BPR with the help of the our technology IT enabled services. So as far as BPR is concerned, it has a wider objective to help the business organization to ease the work, and this is a team contribution. It is not a contribution of one person. If you have to list down the objectives of introducing the BPR in the organization, then we can have 7 8 points. One point is it is customer focus. One point which is that our all action should be customer focused. Secondly, we want to introduce speed in the organization. So with the help of BPR, we can introduce speed in every spheres of life of the organization, while providing the product, while quoting the price, while giving the delivery, while getting the payment from the customer. All there is a speed. Thirdly, we have a comparison system. What our competitors are doing, because major task of our organization is to reduce the cost and ensure the good amount of return on our capital. So there is a need of comparison also, and then we need our flexible decision. We need to introduce flexibility in the organization. So flexibility, introducing flexibility in the organization is also one of our tasks. Flexibility here means flexibility in taking decisions, flexibility in changing the decision, flexibility in molding our decision as per the requirements of the situation. We need a qualitative product. Quality here needs to be defined from the customer's perspective. What kind of products or services they require. We need to introduce innovation in our organization. We need to improve our productivity. Productivity means whatever is in whatever the inputs are there, accordingly output should be proportionately increased if you introduce it. So productivity of the system must be improved. So these are the few objectives of introducing the BPR in the organization. Now let's focus on the methodology. What kind of methodology we should adopt while introducing the business process re-engineering? This methodology is also called certain phases of introducing the BPR methodology, BPR in the organization. So that means step-by-step procedures you can see. So methodology is basically step-by-step procedure of introducing the business process re-engineering in an organization so that we can achieve the objectives with the perception which we have regarding the BPR methodology. So major issues in introducing the business process re-engineering in an organization are basically given by very important two authors, and which were the scientific managers of the organization. One was Davenport's and second was Short's. So they combinedly written a treatise to give an overview of the processes, overview of the step-by-step procedure with the help of which we can introduce the BPR, business process re-engineering, in an organization. And Davenport and Shorts, they absolutely explain that information technology is the heart of introducing the BPR. So they recognize the existence of a recursive relationship between the information technology capabilities and the BPR. So the more efficient you have the IT system, the more efficient you have the IT enabled services, the more efficient you will be having the business process re-engineering. So IT should be considered in terms of how it supports or redesign business processes, and recursively business processes and process improvement should be considered in terms of capabilities IT can provide. So more capable the IT and IT enabled services will be there, the more powerful your BPR methodology will be there. So despite their emphasis on innovation and technology, as far as the Davenports and Shorts, which were the propounders of BPR methodologies, they recognize the importance of the organization and human resource issues as change management, and suggest the use of traditional management approaches like planning, directing, decision making, and communicating. They do not rule out the traditional base of taking the decision, but they say with the help of the IT and IT enabled services, you can revamp the entire business processes in your organization and bring a organizational change. So this was the concept of Davenports and Shorts, which they give about the methodology of introducing the business process re-engineering. So as far as Davenports and uh, uh, the Shorts are concerned, they have given the various processes and various steps. First step or the first phase of introducing the BPR in your organization, that is given by Davenport and Short, is that develop business process vision and process objective. First, they say that develop business vision and process objective. So when you have to introduce BPR in an organization, you must be clear about the business vision about your organization, where you want to reach, what is the target of scaling your organization. This must be clear, and in how many years you want to cover your roadmap. So your roadmap must be clear. You must have the vision to see the far-sighted effect of your business decisions. And secondly, your process objective, as we have discussed the various objectives of the BPR, you must be clear about the process objective. Only then you will be able to get the benefit of. So first step or first phase of introducing BPR in your organization is that you have to develop business vision and process objectives. So develop your business vision. It must be clear cut for 10 year, 15 year. And secondly, you must be clear about the process objective. Every process you introduced in the organization with the help of BPR, what kind of objectives they are going to achieve in the organizational change, that must be clear to it. Second aspect is you need to identify the processes to be redesigned. What are the various kinds of processes which are needed to be redesigned? The most important issue. And secondly, you have to prioritize according to the redesign potential. The key business processes are identified either by identification and prioritization of all processes, and then according to your business vision and process objective approach, you must go far ahead for that. So there should not be any conflict between the processes to be revamped and your business objectives. You must be clear about it. And third aspect is you have to understand and measure existing processes. Unless and until you understand the existing processes, you are able to measure the objectives of existing processes, you are not going to revamp the entire processes. So therefore, understanding and measuring existing process is a third step. Fourth step or fourth phase is you have to identify IT levers. So where to introduce IT and IT enabled services in your transactions, in your geographical areas, in your automation process, in your analysis process, in your informational uh, database system, or in your sequences, in your knowledge management, in your tracking of the information or in your disintermediation. So these are the key levers. So whether you want to introduce IT enabled services in your transactional aspect, that means getting orders from the customer, making delivery to the customers, getting payment from the customer, getting feedback from the customer, all these are the transactional aspects. Similarly, your departments may be geographically spread over different areas. How can you introduce IT enabled services to connect them? How can you bring automation in the organization that once the order is placed, automatically it is processed without the help of the human resources? I don't say that human resources will be ignored while introducing the concept of BPR. Human resources are going to stay. Whatever we are going to do, that we are going to help the human resources. Technology cannot be the sole regulator of everything. Ultimately, the decisions are for the benefit of the human being and with the help of the human being. So that is the major aspect. So IT, we have to identify IT levers. Levers here mean this is the instrument which can pick the heavy objects. So heavy object is to get the profits out of it. So how to improve your profits with the help of introducing technology in your processes? That is the fourth step. Identify the IT levers where you can introduce the technology, that is IT and IT enabled services. Fifth step is, after analysis of the four steps, then you have to come to the fifth step, to design and build a prototype of a process. Design and build a prototype of the process means that you have to make a flow chart of the organization processes, where to start, where to end, and that should be absolutely clearly defined and pictorially redefined for the understanding of the various stakeholders who are going to implement the BPR methodology in your organization. So, using IT as a design tool, understanding generic design criteria, and creating organizational prototypes. Sometimes we say, if you have to manufacture a product like this, we have to introduce this just disk, develop a disk and a wire for it. You will develop its a design, that means the artificial, just to send to the people that this will be like this and these are the processes. So this must be clearly defined uh, while introducing the BPR methodology in the organization. So Davenport and Short has given you the five various processes or five various phases for developing the BPR in the organization. First, I have already said that you have to develop business vision and process objectives. This is the phase one. In second phase, you will identify the processes to be designed. Third phase, understand and measure the existing process. Fourth phase, that you have to identify the IT levers. When you have completed all these four phases, then you will be able to create a prototype of your business process development. So fifth step will be creating a prototype of the business process development, and with this step you will be able to define uh, uh, the various aspects of your business process engineering, and last step will be then to implement the business process re-engineering in your organization. So these are the phases of business process re-engineering as developed by Davenports and Shorts. So most important thing is that this is a one kind of teamwork which cannot be done by one person only. You have to take the help of the various experts, and after that you will be able to get the success out of it. Various factors are there which are to help the business process re-engineering to grow in your organization, and if they are not considered with the efficient capacity or with a vision, then it can lead to the failure of BPR in your organization. The first factor is BPR team composition. As I have already said it, this is a teamwork. This is not to be done by a single person. This is done with the help of the many people. So first, the team composition is very important. If you are going to introduce the BPR methodology in your organization, you must establish an efficient team which are of various professionals. And second aspect of factor is business needs analysis. So while introducing BPR methodology in your organization, you must make a need analysis of your organization. What are the various needs of the organization? What you want to do? Unless and until you know better what are the things which needs to be introduced or need to be discussed, then you cannot be get successful. So first step is your team composition must be very efficient and strong. Secondly, you must analyze your needs. Thirdly, you must develop adequate IT infrastructure, because BPR is basically connected with the IT and IT enabled services. And fourthly, you must have the effective change management. So if you must be ready to change, you must be flexible, you must be far sighted and ready to move on. That is the, and I have already said that the BPR is an ongoing continuous improvement. So therefore, to introduce BPR methodology in your organization, you need all these. There are many reasons because of which sometimes BPR may not get good results, because you may be focusing on one department, may be optimized. If there are 10 departments, you introduce the concept of BPR in one but leave another nine, then you will not be successful. Similarly, if you do not spend much time, if there is a lack of time to focus on the business processes by the higher level of management, then you are not going to get the success. Similarly, if lack of understanding and recognition or extent of the existing process is there, then you are not going to get the benefit. If there is a lack of training to the people, if people involve the use of best tools which are available at their disposal, but they don't want to change their mindset of using the IT and IT enabled services, you are not going to get. If you have inadequate infrastructure, even then you are going to be, if there are very bottlenecks and bureaucratic processes, lack of motivation among the employees, you are not going to get the success. So today we discuss about the features of the business process reengineering, the objectives of the business process reengineering, how it can be advantages, if it is disadvantages, what are the reasons for that. And then we discuss the Davenport's and Short's methodology of introducing the BPR in the organization. And if BPR is a failure, what can be the reasons? So this was the topic of discussion today. So now you can on your videos. If you have some question, we can take up. So today I'm going to record the attendance of five people only. That is 6902, 6918, 6919, 6921, and 6923. So all others are considered to be absent. So this is going to affect your internal assessment.